So I wrote you a theme song for book talks because I know that that's really what you wanted me to do with my time. It's time to do a book talk. It's time to talk about books. It's time to do my book talk because everybody wants to talk about books. How's that? Pretty good, right? I know, I'm very talented. All right, hi kids. So I'm gonna talk today about Fahrenheit 451, written by our good friend Ray Bradbury, who wrote The Pedestrian. That's actually the reason I'm doing this book talk now. The Pedestrian, the world he creates in The Pedestrian is essentially, with some things more fleshed out, it's the same world in Fahrenheit 451. Some of you might already know a little bit about this book, but a little bit of background. Fahrenheit 451 is the temperature at which paper burns, because in this world, people don't read books, and in fact, books are illegal, and firemen, what we would call firefighters, except this was written in the 50s, so they were all men. Firemen did not put out fires. They were essentially law enforcement. And if someone were caught hiding books in their homes, firemen would come and burn everything. Not just the books, they would burn the house and all the contents, and then the people would be taken away to jail or whatever. And so the protagonist, Guy Montag, Fahrenheit 451, is a fireman. You wouldn't say firefighter because they don't fight fires, they make fires happen. So I'm just gonna read the beginning to you, and then I'll mention a couple other things about the book. So this is the very beginning of the book. It has I love the beginning of this book. It was a pleasure to burn. It was a special pleasure to see things eaten, to see things blackened and changed. With the brass nozzle in his fists, with this great python spitting its venomous kerosene upon the world, the blood pounded in his head, and his hands were the hands of some amazing conductor, playing all the symphonies of blazing and burning to bring down the tatters and charcoal ruins of history. With his symbolic helmet numbered 451 on his stolid head, and his eyes all orange flame with the thought of what came next, he flicked the igniter, and the house jumped up in a gorging fire that burned the evening sky red and yellow and black. He strode in a swarm of fireflies. He wanted, above all, like the old joke, to shove a marshmallow on a stick in the furnace, while the flapping, pigeon-winged books died on the porch and lawn of the house, while the books went up in sparkling whirls and blew away on a wind turned dark with burning. It's a pretty good beginning, isn't it? So a little fun fact about this book is somewhere in the first chapter, Guy Montag meets this young girl named Clarice, and Clarice is kind of a free thinker, and so he engages in this conversation with her, and that's, this is right at the beginning of the book, and then we start to see Guy Montag change throughout the book. He obviously believes in the system in the beginning, and he's one of those dystopian protagonists that starts to see the problems in his society, and he begins to rebel, right? So which is a fairly typical arc of a dystopian protagonist. But Clarice tells him a story, just so briefly, but since we just read The Pedestrian, you guys would get the illusion, which is, she says, I had an uncle who was arrested just for walking. And so, that's like this great little, that we would all get. It's a reference we would all get because we read The Pedestrian. So this, I would say, is a pretty challenging book. This is like, if you're somebody who's like, I want to read the classics, I want to, become an adult and be one of those really well-read people who've read some of the important works of literature, American literature. This is one of those books. And what's super interesting, much like The Pedestrian, right, where he envisions a world where people are overly reliant on their televisions. This world is similar, and Ray Bradbury has been credited on a number of occasions as being more than other sci-fi writers incredibly prophetic. And what that means is, like, he sort of accurately predicted certain things about the future. Did he predict that technology was going to be handheld? No, but did he predict that people would become incredibly reliant on these sort of entertainment technologies? Yes. Did he accurately predict that there would be this sort of dumbing down of the citizenry as a result of having too much access to, things that aren't like books, but things that are really easy to digest, like TV shows and so yes, he predicted those things very accurately. Anyway, it's a great book. It's really short. It's about 165 pages, but it's a challenging 165 pages. So I hope you consider it. And, I read through your feedback on that form that I did for you guys last week, and I know that you want me to kind of continue to push the independent reading because it actually motivates you to do it. So I'm gonna re-up. I'm gonna keep doing book talks and focusing some of our attention in Schoology on our independent reading per your feedback. So thanks. Bye.